Right. Good morning, afternoon, good evening. This is the beginning of session 364 of Tesos and Wi-Fi. Today is Tuesday, August 4, 2026. And this session is part of the free, 100% free Wireless LAN Professionals Wi-Fi Design class. We decided to do this class for free some time ago in Spanish. My friends that speak English are like, how come you don't do this for our people that speak English? Like, all right. And here we are. So yes, we have 364 sessions. Not all of them are the class. Others, we just gather on Fridays and chit chat, talk about stuff. And sometimes friends have problems on site. And I mean, like Wi-Fi problems, not emotional problems or financial problems. I guess we all have those. But if you have Wi-Fi problems, you can come here and then we talk and then we try to get brains from all over the world to help with stuff. So that's what we do on Fridays. We do it in Spanish, but we also have some sessions in English. So we have people from all over the world. This is so uplifting. And yeah, somebody said, oh, Fernand, that's so early for you. It's like 6 in the morning. Yeah, that's nothing. Tom, it's like 5 in the morning for you. So yeah, people wake up early. People stay up late to come and join us because we're learning about stuff. Thor. How's it going, Thor? Says Lord of Thunder. See? That's how he introduces himself, right? My name is Thor, Lord of Thunder. There we go. Let me make sure that I have this going on. For those of you got license, or you, Martin, you're still missing a license. Alex, you're still missing a license. Make sure if I have the numbers.
Yeah, I'm trying to find where is the shed.
You still need a license, huh? Let me make sure. There should.
Okay, I'm adding. I just found the
So
license
if
key.
you let me just go to subscriptions. Yeah, this will work. Okay. Let me share my screen. We're
Hey,
gonna pick up.
I missed a license as well.
Okay, so I pasted on the chat. Did you pick it up from the chat, or do you want me to paste it again?
I see it.
So what you do, you go in Hamina, you go up to the upper right corner where your name is, the license, go to subscriptions, and then in there you're gonna say use license key. And then right there, you paste that code that I pasted on the chat window. The reason why I do it that way is because if we post it online, then anybody can just get the code and it's gonna use up all the licenses. And if you want a license, you have to show up. You have to wake up early, get your coffee in the morning, and come and join us. And if you can show us your beautiful faces, that's even better. Then, I know there's a human behind that little screen right there. Looks like Ian is already there. Edward is out there walking in the street. That's cool. Then we got Matias is working, but listening. And that's it. Let's who's still waiting on a temporary license? I think we are running low on licenses. Let me open another Hamina window over here. And if you haven't created the account, go to hamina.com. If you're watching this video later because you couldn't come to a live session, then you go to hamina.com. When you go to log in, then it's going to ask what instance. It's probably going to let me in because I'm already logged in. Create an account. You can create a free account. And you can do certain things. There is a limit. I think you can only design with up to, I don't know, is it 5, 10 APs? Something like that. It has a number of things that you can and you cannot do. But you can create an account. That's one of the good things I like about Hamina, is that you get to play with the tool, create a free account, and just go do stuff. Other tools, I don't think Ekahau allows you to do that. Ceros does not allow you to do that. Martin, what do you have? 3 what? 3 o'clock?
3 IPs.
Three. Oh, three is the limit. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Yes, I know there was a limit. I didn't remember if it was 5 or 10. Let me make sure we have. Okay, I think everybody's got a license. Who's still missing one? Thor, Lord of Thunder. Here, let me make sure that these guys have responded to my request. All right, Thor, you hang in there, because looks like, oh, there's an update available. Let me refresh this in here. And okay, we did some updates. That's the other cool thing. They can do updates all the time. Let me switch this to 3D. We're going to learn how to do stadiums later. We'll do as much as we can today. I have to go take the car for oil change and tire rotation. So I'll be going probably for an hour. All right, ladies and gents, let's keep going. Let me go back to the file we opened yesterday. If you're here new today and you missed out yesterday, then you are going to be behind. So sorry, we're going to just, then we kept working on the new test project. You all should have, let me add to the chat window, the floor plans we used for the, I haven't received the other temporary licenses. As soon as I get them, I'll paste in the chat again, the license for you guys. Make sure. Okay, this thing was this refreshing. Let me bring the other window here. Let's see if this one is working. And let's bring the new test project and close the other one. Remember, I've been asked, the classes, they're all recorded and uploaded to the Wi-Fi of things that come. All the sessions are there. Yesterday's session is there, including some chat notes, questions, and stuff. So I think there was another question I did not answer and somebody else answered it for me. I will review that later. Just close this stuff. The form, again, if you already filled this form and send your name and email and you're receiving the Zoom links, you don't have to register again. That's it. I have you on the list. You'll be receiving the invites for all the sessions that we have in English, the class. If some of you want to be included in the Spanish speaking sessions, let me know. I will add you to a different list. I just don't want to flood your email with stuff that, you know, is for Spanish speaking only guys. So let me, where's my Hamina. Failed to load project. Well, project's right there. So I assume it didn't fail at all. All right, so what did we learn yesterday? Yesterday, we learned how to create a project. You go right next to the Hamina's logo. Actually, did you know that Hamina is a city, a town in Finland? And that logo is the floor plan of the city, or like a footprint of the city center. So that's what the logo represents. You go and create a new project, you add a name, you add a floor plan, and then you give it a scale with the scale tool right here. And there's something going on in here. Are you having the fail to load project in your site as well, on your project? Or is it just me? Yours is loading fine, Glenn? Let me, you know, there's something.
Loading fine.
My computer is going like an airplane's taking off. Let's make sure Eka House not open. Close some stuff. Close loop, pour out. Let's close preview. Too much stuff open probably. Hey, it's a Pentium 3, man. Give it a break. Let me close Balina. And close Winbox. Man, I like to. It's like, yo, let's start right away, but now I'm having problems here with this stuff. Keep saying fail to load project. Let's refresh. Okay, seems to be fine now. So on the left, all of these buttons, we have used so far the edit, that's the arrow. And then you can just go in and select stuff. You can then move stuff. You can copy, paste stuff. You can do multiple selections also by just like drawing a box around things. Then it's going to highlight those three objects right there. If I select the entire thing, like from here, there, then notice in here, it shows what's selected. 199 selected items total. So there's one access point. I only have one access point. I have 176 walls that, oh man, we worked so hard to get all those 176 walls, huh? It was like one click, and then it imported all the walls. Then there is attenuation objects. I can just make modifications to some of them. We're going to use this to modify access points later, but this is a really cool thing that we can select multiple things at a time. Let me unselect these guys. The next one is the note tool. You can leave notes on the map. Like if I want to say, you know, make sure this area is covered, you know, cover this area. And then I can either add an image. Let's go to my photos. And let's just add, hey, I went to a Meter event yesterday. Meter is a company, they just offer networking as a service. I don't know if you heard of them, but then apparently you just pay for the square foot of your property, and then they just put switches, APs, anything you need, networking, firewalls, and everything. And then you just pay one thing. You don't have to pay for licensing. You don't have to. There we go. Just put a mute on Gilbert. And then you add stuff to your network, and then it's just like one fee. That's all you pay. So that's Meter. I added just a note right there. I can just leave the note. There's a note right there. Let me make sure it kept it. Yep, there it is. And then that's a map node. The next tool down is the scale, the importance of the scale. You create this XY coordinate system and create a pixels per meter unit. And then the scale is extremely important. Just make sure that you have a good scale for your map. Sometimes I have to go to Google Earth. Let's just say South Town Mall in here. And I have used Google Earth a lot to get the scale of a building. For instance, if I don't have a scale for this building in here, let's say if that's the place I'm going to do a design on, let's just say right there, I right click and go to measure distance and then click on the other side. Now for that area, see from there to there, it says that the distance is 81 meters. So I've used this a lot to get the scale of buildings, because we have to have as accurate as possible stuff. If I am doing like, let's say this parking lot, if my design includes designing in this area, I can also do this. If I come over and draw the map, let me just move this window up a little bit. Notice down here, there is a scale. So you can use that as the scale. If I get a screenshot of this area, then I can use this as my map, and I can use that as the scale. done this a lot of times because not always you get a good scale on your floor plans. Now, pay attention because everything that I have explained so far, you create an account, you bring in a map, you give it a scale, you add walls, and the software is going to create an XY coordinate system. So when I add an access point, let me just go back to my arrow. When I add, let's say, an access point here behind the elevator, I just added an access point with certain antenna pattern. Let me just add the 635 here. With this antenna pattern at 2.5 meters off the ground on an XY coordinate system. Then it starts doing signal prediction, and that's what it's doing. It's just doing math. Everybody does the exact same thing. Ekahau does the same thing. You have to create a floor plan, give it a scale. It creates a XY coordinate system, creates a grid in the entire place, and it just starts doing math. If you add a door, or if you add a wall, if you add an attenuation area, it just does math against it based on the variables and based on everything that you are adding to the floor plan. Let's make sure. Okay, looks like Grecia added some licenses. Sweet. I thank him. You know, the guys from Hamina, I say, we'll give you licenses. The Tesos guys say, you will give you licenses for your students. You're teaching for free. Thank you for helping the community. The Ekahau guys say, no, you get no free license for you suckers. So, sorry, we're not going to get licenses for Ekahau, but we are getting licenses for Hamina and Tesos and WLANPros. Guys from WLANPros, they say, like, also, we'll give you licenses. That's great. So they are helping the community. We'll keep teaching. And then now we have so far also use the walls tool. If you go down to walls, that's where we can add walls. We're going to be going again on how to add walls and how to edit walls. Oh, let's see if he can join us. Oh, he's actually asking, hey, if you need help, we'll get the expert in here. How's that? We get a guy from Hamina. Let me send him. Copy invite link. And Jerry from Hamina is going to come and join us. So what were the questions we had? We had a question about the home marker, and also have a question about the height of the building. All right, well, Jerry, good morning, amigo. Thanks for coming.
Hey, everybody.
Short notice.
I know. I'm not dressed for this. I didn't do my hair or anything.
I know, imagine that. Elaine didn't do his hair either, man. How embarrassing. Yeah, Martin didn't, and he's got hair. So, well, guys, for those of you who don't know, this gentleman just joined us, is Jerry Oja. I know, you know what, I've been like telling this guy, like, well, okay, now here in Ekahau, this is how this is not Ekahau, this is Hamina. But, you know, it happens all the time.
Old habits.
Yeah, old habits. So we do have a couple of questions. We're just starting. We just had one session yesterday on how to use Hamina. Those of you guys who don't have a license, the same key code I gave you, it should work. So go on and activate the license key on your account, and then it should be working right now. So we had a session yesterday. We're going top to bottom, just learning how to add the floor plan, how to do the scale. It was so much work to draw all of these walls, man. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I know. You guys spent all day working on this, it looks like.
Yeah, it was like the whole 2 clicks, and then boom, all the walls were right there. And then we did learn yesterday how to add the stairs. Look at that.
Nice.
Yeah, the stairs and the slab. So one of the questions was about the attenuation of this slab. Is that the same as the floor when you go? Saur, who was in class with Eddie Forero last week, showed me, where was it that I go to see the attenuation? If I go to floors.
You got to go back to 2D.
Yeah, 2D, and then here,
Go
Yep.
to
Align floors, right? This attenuation.
So that's the floor attenuation, but that's not the slope or the slab like attenuation that you were
Okay.
showing there with the stairs.
Okay. Where do I see that?
So that
Or
would be,
where?
it's essentially, think of like stairs and raised floors and all that kind of stuff is essentially attenuating objects. So you can define them just like you would an attenuating object, but it
Okay.
is defined under the multi-floor settings. So it's not defined in the attenuating objects, but
So it's not an item here like slab
yeah,
or
exactly. It's
okay.
essentially it's the same concept, but it's in a different menu. So back under the multi-floor tools there, just below the attenuating object. So if you click the
This
two
one.
squares, go to the like slope floors. Well, probably raised floors is actually what we want to look at first because that's that slab.
Uh-huh.
And then yeah, that's where you can define like is that a slab only or is it like a solid object?
I just had to disable this.
Yes, yep. So that's where you
Okay.
can then define like the attenuation of that, solid object versus
Okay.
if it's a slab. Although, yeah, I guess I'm
So
not sure why when we do
if
have
I if
slab,
I
why we
switch
don't.
to slab, there is no way to attenuate that. So
yeah.
when it's not a
Yeah.
slab, what is it then? What is it called?
Hit the little question mark. I think it might explain it there. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it just doesn't have a fill. So yeah, I don't know why we don't allow you to define that. I'll have to actually check with our
Feature
developers.
feature
I'm not
request, man.
Well, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know if that's intentional or not because, yeah, I don't know why, when it's just a slab, why we wouldn't be able to define the attenuation like we would an attenuating object because that's
Hmm.
effectively what it is. And that's another way you could model that, right? Is you could just draw that in as like an attenuating object and then specify
Uh-huh.
the attenuation. But
Yeah.
this is just an easier way to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
let me check on that. That's a good
Okay.
question.
Yeah, because I didn't know how to answer it. I assume because they asked me yesterday, how do you define the attenuation of this
Yeah.
area right here? Right. And say, well,
Yeah.
I assume it's the same as the floor. And I know for the floor. And before I forget, where do I define how high the floor is?
How high the floor is in relation to what?
To just like in Ceros, when you go in and create the floor plan, the first thing it asks you, even before the scale, is like how high the floor is, like from the floor to the ceiling. And then all of the walls will go to that height. Any attenuation area I create will go to that height. And then that's gonna be my like ceiling height. APs,
Mhm.
walls, attenuation areas will go to that height. So in here, what is the height of the floor?
So I think, yeah, what you're asking there is what is the height of the ceiling?
Yes.
Okay. So the height of the ceiling is, yeah, I guess there's a couple of things that can kind of define that. So yes, if let's just say it's a single floor to make things, I guess somewhat simpler. If you just have a
Yeah.
single floor that you're working on and you need to define what the height of the ceiling is, because
Yeah.
like you said, like the walls and objects will be dynamic to whatever that ceiling height is.
Yeah, yeah,
By
yeah. Because when I do this, then
Mhm.
what's the height of yeah, and I kept saying floor, and you're right. What's the height of the ceiling? Because it automatically just put them there. Of course, when I
Yep.
place the access point at
Well,
2.5,
here's a good way to kind of visualize this is zoom out a little bit, click on that AP,
uh-huh.
and now adjust the height of that access point to, let's say, I don't know, something like 4 meters,
Okay.
and see what happened is you just adjusted the ceiling height.
Okay, so the ceiling height is gonna go to the height of the AP.
Well, so here's the thing is it's dynamic of what is the tallest or the highest object that you're representing. And in this
Uh-huh.
case, yeah, we've defined the AP as being on the ceiling, and we said the AP is at 10 meters. So it's going to make that assumption of, oh, if the AP is on the ceiling and you're saying that's, 10 meters high, that we're going to dynamically scale everything vertically, to match that. So the walls and everything go up to that ceiling height. And
Uh-huh.
this is the default. Obviously, we can override this, but by
Yes.
default, this is what it's doing. Now, alternatively, what we could do is we could set the AP at, let's say, you know, 1 meter, 1.5 meter, whatever height that AP is at, and then we can still have the walls and objects, be higher, the ceiling height be higher, but by default, that's what it applies. So especially like in a multi-floor environment, that's where like if you go back to that multi-floor section, you can specify the floor
The
height or
height.
ceiling height for that.
So let
But
me
yeah,
go
I don't
back
go
to
back to 2D.
2D
Yep.
and let's go to the aligned
Aligned
floors.
floors. Yep. And so here, where if
But
you put that floor into the building, even if you just take this one floor, you'll see now
uh-huh.
you have that ceiling height parameter that you could define there. So obviously this isn't applicable if we just have one floor, but yes, if
Yeah.
you have multiple floors, you could define a ceiling height there. So that's another way that that could be defined.
So I'd have to use the override because let me just give you an example where that would be relevant. For instance,
Mhm.
there is this company, it's called Industry. What they do is this take these really old buildings like warehouses from World War II, and then
Okay.
they turn that into modern offices. So
Wow.
the actual, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to sit in that chair with that thing hanging on my head all the time. I'll be like looking at like, yeah, I don't know if I trust you. But yeah, they get these really old buildings, and look at that. That was years ago when my son was little.
Wow.
We were doing Echo house surveys with the psychic one. That tells you how old that is. But then, well, it says right here, I guess, 2021. This is an example where like the construction of the walls, because what they do is that they get these warehouses, really old warehouses, and build modern buildings inside. Okay. So as you can see, here's the height of all the walls and the doors and stuff down here. But then this is like really high. So this is only one floor. There are not multiple floors in this area. So this would be a good example that, and perhaps that's a request that even if it's just one floor, you can specify the height of the ceiling. And then, because you can have construction here that is all over. Yes, I can go and override, but then I'm going to have to change the height of each wall, right? If I have drywall, then I'm going to have to specify how high that wall is. Just go
Yeah.
back here to my wall area, and then right there, then I'll have to specify that, I don't know, let's say these concrete or these brick walls that I have in here are, will have specified the height of those walls. I wonder if it's something with my browser, but I've been seeing this slowness today. Am I out of tokens? My AI is not. I gotta.
You're being forced to use a slower model or what?
Well, it's a Pentium 3, man. Like,
Yeah, I've never seen that, especially on the wall editor like that. That's weird.
no, and I've done it a couple of times today. Like, it said failed to load project, and I had to open a new window, and I
Okay.
had a fail to load project here.
Where's
And
your orb? You don't have orb running on here to see if it's your connection?
no, I don't think so.
Oh, I always keep orb running. That's
Is
always
there
my
a,
first thing I glance at
I
now is
I
like if I
I
start
I,
seeing somebody's video or audio
I
chopping up, I just look at my orb score, see if it's my end or their end.
uh-huh. I thought you were gonna say like, oh yeah, if Orb's running, that's just bugging down your computer. Like,
Oh, no,
I hope
actually I
it's
haven't noticed it ever getting in the way or causing any connection issues.
Orb. There, let me just open Orb here.
is there a preferred or recommended browser to use?
I would say in general, Chromium, any Chromium-based browser seems to be the most, compatible, but really any modern browser should work. I feel like Safari is probably the one that we've seen the most kind of like, an update, break something and then we got to fix something most frequently. But in general, it does work with, yeah, really any, Safari, Firefox, Chrome, any of that kind of stuff. But it does seem like the Chromium-based browsers all kind of are very
Nets,
consistent.
Netscape, Alta Vista, use all of them, right? No, no
Netscape.
Netscape. So here
No,
we go.
Netscape is not compatible.
If you change like the height of brick, let's say we say this brick wall is only 2 meters high. Now, if we go into the 3D model, it's going to show that those walls specifically are
Yep.
shorter than the other ones. So instead of being 2.5, as we defined, then it makes those walls shorter.
Yep.
Okay.
And see how the AP is still way up there on
At
the
10
ceiling,
meters.
but the walls are limited. So yes, you
Yeah.
can totally override that kind of automatic dynamic. One
Mhm.
other thing to note on that is the project, when you set up the project, the environment that you specify also plays into this equation. So, for
Okay.
example, a drastic difference would be if you set up this project and you said this is a warehouse environment, but it's actually, let's say, like an office, it's going to default to very tall, walls and objects
And
and racks and things like that.
that's when we're creating the project. What he's talking about is here. When you go to new project, then you define this, and that's what we were covering yesterday. That if you're doing a warehouse, for instance, the AI model is going to say like, oh, so I assume all these blocks in here are going to be racks, not just desks or little things. If it's an office, can I do that to like this project after I created it and made adjustment? Can I go and say like, oh, this is not an office, is a warehouse? Can I change
Um,
that property?
Not really. So where that comes into play is actually during the map import process. So if you change the environment type, you would also want to then re-import the floor plan. So you technically can change it after you've created the project, but a lot of that happens during the map import process because it's how it's looking at the floor plan. So if you specified it first as an office, but it's really a warehouse, and then you change it to warehouse, it doesn't reanalyze the floor plan as a warehouse, if that makes sense.
Yes, because I just added a warehouse floor plan in here,
Hmm.
and then it just inherits the office space that we selected yesterday when we created the project. Then
Yeah, it still is the project still set to office right now then?
yes.
Okay. Yep. So yeah,
Oh,
notice like the
that.
shelves will be much shorter now. They're not like full warehouse shelves. It doesn't look at this as a warehouse. It
Uh-huh.
looks at it as more of a office type
A
environment.
filing cabinet. Yeah.
Yeah.
See how hard that was to draw all this, man. This is horrible. This is so much work. I know some of you guys you don't want to show this to your customers because they're gonna say like, "That's it. That's all you did. Import the floor plan and they just drew everything for you." See, Glenn. See, Glenn is an Ekahau guy, and now he's like seeing the light, huh, Glenn?
Of course.
All
But
right.
I gotta jump to another call. Any other things I
No,
can help with
I
while
think
I'm on?
that's it for now. I'm just gonna keep pretending like I know what I'm doing and teaching these guys about Hamina. Any questions? I'll be getting to you later. Thank you very much for giving us more licenses. I appreciate your time,
Yeah,
and I'll
let,
just
let
keep
me
you
know if there's
posted.
anything else I can do to help. This is awesome.
Yeah,
Appreciate
and
you
we got
walking
people
through
from
all
all
this.
over the world, man. Look around. Holy
Yeah,
smoke!
yeah. Looks like you got a good crew on for sure. That's awesome.
Yes. Thank
Cool.
you.
Well, feel free to pull me back in. I got a call I need to jump on now, but happy to jump back on. I don't know how long you're going to be
We'll
going.
be here probably for another 40 minutes. I gotta go drop a car to get it serviced. So yeah,
Okay.
anytime, man. We'll be here.
Thanks, guys. Great to meet you.
All right. So let me remove this warehouse floor plan. See how easy that was? Just brought it in and automatically detected all the filing cabinets and stuff. Zaur, do you have a question or comment?
Yes, hey everyone. Thanks for giving me a minute. Just a word of advice. With my experience with Hamina, when you create a project, if you have non-standard floor like what you're shown, this is an example, it's worth creating like a building with just one floor, actually, in my experience. And then what you're gonna do, you're gonna create a custom walls, which you can just clone, and then you just set the height
Yeah.
because typically in these settings, the AP most times is going to be higher than those actual like little offices they're building. And this way it will
Yeah, yeah.
calculate the attenuation. The other thing is also what you really want to do is you want to create attenuation object, which would be a rectangular object that you can use as a drop ceiling at that height to match.
Yeah, and
Just
yeah,
saying.
and that's one thing we're gonna learn how to do today is if you have the access points above the ceiling, how do you create the whole ceiling everywhere? I know it's unfortunate and that's not recommended, but that's what we have to do sometimes. So we'll learn how to create a drop ceiling with the APs above that area. So yes, we'll be doing that today. So yeah, and that's what Jerry showed us the easiest way to define the height. I think we were talking about it yesterday, and I didn't know how to like specify the height. I didn't remember where is when you go to create the building to align the floors. You just create a building with the one floor in here. So we don't have any other floors yet. We'll be adding some, but then here's what we would define. Let me just construct this building. Now all of the walls should go to the height, and let me refresh this guy and make sure that it stays down there at 2.5. And I'll move the access point back down to 2.5. I wonder if that's what's tripping this off. If I select this guy, let's not put it at 10 meters. Let's put it at 2.5. All right, let's make sure this is still, there's something phony in here. Let's find out why this guy is not staying at the 2.4 meters that we want. Just make sure.
May I ask you two questions?
You just did. Thank you very much.
The first one, yes. The second one is when we are talking about glass walls, we have a lot of reflection as well. Hamina all the softwares, they calculate the attenuation, but is the reflection also necessary for this kind of materials?
I wouldn't be too worried about it. I know Ekahau, when you add the extra math so that it calculates reflections and refractions and stuff, the CPO just goes crazy. It's just doing deeper math on this, and depending on the materials you added, it's trying to guess what I don't know exactly. I know there is mathematical equations that are running in the background, so it does more math on the signal prediction, but I don't think, and maybe we'll ask Jerry when he comes back about that, if there is a specific setting that we add in here to have the software do like more math, trying to figure out all those reflections, and refractions in the floor plan. So I wouldn't worry about it. This is just the standard one. So yesterday we covered walls. Now everybody should have a license, right? Those of you who were missing a license, now you have a license. Tom, you got a license? Sweet. Okay. All right, questions about what we've done so far. We basically covered the creation of walls and doors, and we created these windows over here. If you missed yesterday's session, yeah, go back and watch it. There we show you how to add these little windows up there, or this big window down here, and how to add columns and how to add custom walls. We're going to create more custom walls in here. Like we just modified the brick, and it just stays shorter than everything else. So let me go back to the walls, to select this guy and edit. And then we're going to make this guy. We delete the height of the wall inside the material, then it just goes to the height of the floor. Well, the height of the ceiling. I keep saying floor. Well, because that's the floor. That's the only floor we have. So let's learn then how to create a building and how to add effects kind of like this. Let me show you what we're going to do now. If I go back to map and I come down here to, man, something's going on with my computer. Look at this, it's like all frozen now. Yeah, let me close this stuff. And something is running. I can hear my CPU going. Let me see, maybe I'm going to have to reboot in here. Or just close so many of these windows that I have open. Hang on a second. Yeah, what am I? My wife got like 200 windows open and then said, why is this low? Let me close some of this stuff. Let me close this. And all I have now is this guy going. Yeah, let's just close some windows from here as well. All right, let me just make sure that I show you over here what we're going to be doing. Let me open this guy again, go to maps, and we're going to be simulating a building with an atrium. Say hello to my little friend. This is Brian. I haven't seen Brian in a while. And then we are in this area. Let's see if it's in the same spot over here. About this area right there. So what we're going to be learning today is how to create something like this, an environment where the floors are missing parts of the floor. The first floor is all complete, but then the upper floors have what's called an atrium or a mezzanine or simply a hole in the floor. So let's simulate this environment. So first thing I'm going to do is bring in another floor plan. For those who, I haven't shared these floor plans with you guys here today. Let me know. If there are questions on the chat, somebody let me know because I'm not looking at the chat window all the time. If you have questions, just stop me and ask, okay? Don't feel like, oh, I cannot talk. Yes, you can, just ask, okay? Let me close my chat window. I'm going to share with you guys the floor plans that we use. There we go. Let me add the floor plans. And warehouse, hockey arena, almacen, and okay, in the chat, I just shared the images for you guys if you don't have them. So now to add another floor plan, because right now I just have one floor. So I'm going to go, here's the project. If I hover over this guy, I can go to settings for this project. I can duplicate this project, import, export. I haven't used that one, or delete this project. If I hover over, see the floor over here? If I hover over the floor, floor one, I can rename this floor. I can adjust. The adjustment is really useful if you have floor plans that have a lot of colors and have backgrounds and have all kinds of things, because this one only has like shades of gray. So I can select a color and remove it. I can rotate the map. See, and out of the, sometimes you get floor plans that are, you know, if you're like always looking for north, then you can adjust it the way maybe you're familiar with the map. You can also change the opacity of the floor plan. Let me just switch this back to, what was it, 0 degrees, or where was this guy? Let me just bring this guy over here. There we go. And let's rotate it back to where it was, maybe 0 degrees. Here we go. These buttons in here, there is the zoom in or zoom out, and the little square just fills the work area with your map. Then the adjust, see if I hover over this guy, adjust if you have multiple colors, blue, yellow, green, sometimes they have highlighted areas, then you can just select the color and remove it. And you do the adjustment. In here as well, you can delete maps, as I just did with the warehouse, or duplicate it. I've used this when you have settings, you have things, or you have the exact same floor plan, and you just need portions of it. I duplicate it. I want to add a map. The one I added yesterday, the one we've been working on, is this one called Office Floor 01. I'm going to add Office Floor 02. Basically, I'm going to add this second floor over here. And then I'm going to add a third floor. I know in Europe, you have floor 0, floor 1, and floor 2. Here in America, we have floor 1, 2, and 3. Okay, that's how we're going to go, because I don't want you asking like, hey, you have floors 1, 2, and 3. Where's floor 0? There is no floor 0. Not here in America, that is. Okay. I added, let me add a floor plan. Oh, where is my, here, let me cancel this guy. Let me add. There is something going on. It says uploading map and it's taking forever. There There is something going on. Look at
It will be there in a while. I did the same and it took a few minutes to upload.
Okay. No, but it should just like be really quick. Let me just look at my activity monitor here and see what's happening. Net views. Ah, let me kill net views and see if that makes a difference. Let me kill this guy too. Let me close the calendar. And let's see what else. Oh, Zoom. I cannot kill Zoom. So I will lose you all. There's Chrome. Oh, I don't know. Something is using up and slowing down my computer. I wonder if it's that AI companion thing that I enabled to have the settings. Come on. Okay, let's add a map. Let's do it again. And then add floor 2. And that should be really fast. 20% ready. There it is. See, didn't take very long. So if now I go to the second floor doesn't have anything. It is slightly different than the first floor. To switch floors, I just go from here, floor 1. Notice that this guy has an entrance in here. It has if I don't want to show any signal predictions in there, I'm just going to click here and say, don't try to show me signals for anything. In the second floor, and I only have one access point, but in the second floor, then if I go to the second floor, notice that there are no chairs right there because this area is an opening. The software automatically detects that this is the area of interest. Notice that the outside of the building has those lines, meaning I'm not going to do any signal predictions in here. If I were to add an access point, just place an access point right here, it is doing signal prediction inside this box. This area is the equivalent in Ekahau to defining a coverage area. And to define those areas, just come over here. Let me get my glasses on. And in here, they're called scope zones. If I go to scope zones, notice that it has the little stars. That's basically saying like, hey, we figured that out for you. And if we agree and say like, yeah, that's the area I care about, then I say, sure, that's my area. So now that is my scope area. If I want to exclude, let's say, see over here in the stairs, maybe I don't care about those stairs. Then so that the software doesn't try to do signal prediction in there, I can add another, see, because I'm in scope zones, I can just define this area, like from here. If I click and drag and draw a box around it, then it excludes that area. Also, I could, see, because when you select it, let me just select this area over here, you can specify if that's an area you want or an area that is also included in the project. And when you're adding the zone, you can specify if a zone, see, is going to be exclusion area or if it's going to be included area. Let me, since it is inside a scope area, it assumes that like this is an exclusion area. Okay. Let me just Control Z out of this. Come on, come on. Man, it's not some weird things. Let me delete that guy. And it's there. So that's how you add an scope zone or a coverage area. And that's how you add an exclusion area. It's not that there is no Wi-Fi in there. Is that the software is not doing math. Well, it is doing math inside that area, but it's not accounting for any lack of coverage in that space. To the second floor. See, since we're on the second floor right now, we're going to have to define walls too. If I go walls, there is the auto draw. And what it does is the exact same thing it did on the first floor. It automatically detected windows and doors and walls and stuff. In here, we have more walls. And since I am on this auto draw, I can go in and select and change certain materials. So like this one, before what we did is we changed this area, this concrete right there. and say like, no, that's not concrete, that is glass. And let's just say this is glass thick. So it's just going to change that for glass. And let's just say, yeah, auto draw, boom. Then now we have walls drawn in here as well. I have not drawn any stairs on this staircase, and we're on the second floor. Let me add a third floor, and I will show you how to add the hole in the floor, because these walls in here are not the height of the building. What we're going to simulate is that these walls are just short walls that are a veranda, or how else do you call these short walls? Tom, what do you call these walls?
Parapet?
Short walls. Huh?
Parapet, maybe?
I don't know. So they call them pony walls. In Ekahau, I think there was a pony wall, which was a short wall, but it's just like this veranda over here. So just go back. Let's actually do that before we move to the third floor. Let me show you how to add that hole in the floor, and let me then delete these walls, and we'll create one from scratch. I can either delete that. See, I don't have walls there right now. I can come in and create a new wall. If I go to walls, I'm gonna, I don't know, go to settings and duplicate whatever I have in there. So I have brick, but I'm gonna duplicate brick. I'm gonna call this veranda. This is a short wall. And let's just say this one attenuates only 1 dB per meter. And let's say the ceiling height of this wall is not the 2.5 meters. Let's say it's only 1 meter high. And then I will change the color. Let's make that green. So it's a wall. The material is not brick, it's glass. So it makes it transparent. And then it's 1 dB and it's green and it's 1 meter high. So I can add then that wall, that short wall here. Click and then click again. And then right click. If I go to 3D, now I have a short 1 meter high. That's too short. Well, that's good enough, I guess, for now. But now we still don't have a hole in the floor, because here's what happens. If I go to access point, see that access point right there? If I move this guy over here, and then I go to my first floor, it shows that signal. Oh, I haven't created the building either. See, right now, it is treating those floors as separate, independent floors. Here's when I go to the building, align floors, and then the first step was to create a building by adding the floors in there. I dragged floor 1 into this area. And now if I want to add this floor 2, I just drag it and add it on top of floor 1. And sometimes hotels, restaurants, and these have a higher, taller first floor. It is possible that this guy is higher, so you can just adjust the height per floor and also the attenuation of each one of the buildings. Now, each one of the floors, sorry. So how do you align those? In Ekahau, you set up the floor alignment points. In here, in Hamina, what you do is that you have the 2 floors automatically put on top of each other. For instance, notice the black one is the first floor. This orange is the second floor. If I click on this guy and change there's something going on. This should be showing me the entire floor. I'm going to have to either restart this guy or refresh, because it's not showing me my actual floor plan. Now the scale. Okay, let's change the scale on this guy. Let me go to floor 2. Let's add a scale to this guy. It has a scale. There's something going on. Let me switch back to here. Let's add this scale to this guy as well. Let me go back to the floor. I'm going to have to close probably this browser and reopen it. Or I'll just reboot my computer. Hey, it works on Windows. It must work on Mac as well, huh? Because I can still hear. Ooh, and this thing is hot. Let me go over to my building again. See, it didn't keep this guy. Come on. Put it out there. There we go. See, this is what it should do the first time I came around. So it adds both floor plans. The orange one then is floor one. And then what I try to do to align them is to make all of these walls match. Sometimes you get floor plans that are different size. Then you try to match these guys and then move them around. Let me just move this guy down like over here and make these outside walls match kind of, and or the beams, the columns. So let me make sure. See, like these guys are not very well aligned. So I can just zoom and move this guy around and drag it and like make sure they match. This is to align the floors. This is the equivalent in Ekahau, you guys that have taken the Ekahau class before. This is the equivalent of adding floor alignment points. Here is more visual because then I can make them match. So this is close enough. This is as good as it gets. Yes, there are some floors that some rooms that exist in one floor, not the other. This area exists on the lower floor, but not on the upper floor. So let's reconstruct the building. Come on. Come on, Hamina. Don't blame this on Hamina. This is totally on me. I'm going to now come and add the third floor. Office floor 03. Let's wait for these guys to upload that third floor. And remember, you can bring, oh, Gurpreet says that Ekahau in online is very same visual where you can see a floor plan below. Oh, yeah. And this has been a constant game since these guys created Hamina, is that everybody's trying to catch up to them. That's why these guys are number one now. Ekahau is copying and trying to do things the way Hamina does. And Cedos, they are all kind of like trying to do the same things. Okay, currently under the project. Where's my third floor? Here we go. So now I'm going to drag this third floor and bring it and put it on top. Now I have my third floor. And is it bringing my entire thing? Yep, there it is. So if I leave this guy right there, they're like very aligned. Let's reconstruct the building. Again, you can change the attenuation between floors. I've been on site measuring, putting an access point, measuring at the ground level and going to a floor below and measuring, trying to figure out what the attenuation of the floor is. So here's where you will adjust that. Now that I have 60, 85, 90%, boom, I have a building. I have 3 floors. If I go to my signal prediction, then if I have this guy, now they added this feature to create the building. Let's see if I remember where it is. Saur, if I come here to align floors, is it here where you add the visualization for the building? Or
I'm
where
sorry,
do
can you repeat that?
Yeah, where do you create like the building? Let's see.
No, so you go back to line floors. This is where are you talking about building edge or are you talking about
Like when they show all the floors,
hit 3D. Okay, click on 3D.
On 3D.
Yeah, and then you want to
It's
choose,
here, right?
yeah, click on layers and then choose
Okay.
all.
Of them. There we go. So this is cool, but guess what? These guys from WLANPros, they had done this before Hamina did. WLANPros. If I go to WLANPros, let's make sure I have this in here. There should be edificio, maybe this. And let's go to 3D. Yeah, before Hamina made the announcement, these guys were already drawing this. Look at that. These are the WLANPros guys. Guess what? We're going to learn how to do this using WLANPros as well. But yeah, these guys were doing the buildings and the multi-floor like this in 3D even before Hamina was doing. So this is what's good about this industry nowadays, is that we can have these visuals now. And these guys had them for the longest time. I mean, they're new. But yeah, competition is good. So these guys were doing it before Hamina was, but Hamina allows you to visualize this this way. This, showing this to customers, oh man, this is so easy to explain things. So I have that access point. Ooh, I even have the tables in there. Look at that. We go back to 2D. So let's go back to 2D. We just look at one floor. If I go to 3D, then it's here where the sandwich is, that you can just adjust one floor and the floor below, or just show the current floor, or add all floors. Oh, what happens if you do transparent building? Okay, it makes everything transparent. Look at that. Sweet. Okay, back to 2D. Let's go to floor 2, because we gotta draw that hole in the floor. Right now, we do not have that hole in the floor. And we did draw this wall. Let me just look at the 3D of just this one floor. Okay, and let's not make it transparent. We have to draw that hole in here. We drew this wall. Let's just draw the other section in here that has that veranda. Where's my veranda wall? Can I create a veranda wall in here? And what if I select you? Let me select you. There it is. So let's draw. Let's go to the wall and draw then from here. Notice that if I click from here there, I just drew a brick wall. If I want to change, and then right click, it's always click, click, right click. If I want to change that wall, because evidently that is not a brick wall that goes there, it's another one of these walls. So what I do is, once I select this wall to the right, I'm gonna have the list of materials. By having that wall selected and selecting veranda, it just changes that segment to that type of wall. Same thing if I have it still selected and then I change it to cubicle or change it to door, it's gonna just change that segment I have selected. Let me go back to 2D. You have to do all these things in 2D. Leave it at veranda. To draw a hole in the wall, in the floor, here's very simple. You just go to the areas where you align the floors, you raise the floors and slope floors that we saw yesterday, and then you can add floor holes. To draw, this is doing the whole area. To draw a hole, then I'm just gonna select this area, and I can either do it, just from there, click, click, let's just snap there, click, and snap here, click, and right click. So when I right click, it's gonna come here, cut a hole in the floor. That's what I have by changing this to 3D. Come on, let me just unselect this guy. In here, that's where I added that hole in the floor. When you are, let me just switch over here. Let's see if it's gonna show us the hole in the floor. And notice the third floor does not have the hole in the floor. The second one does. So what we're gonna do is do the same thing to the third floor. Let's go back to floor 3. And then it automatically, since we're in areas, gonna add the whole automatic detected area of interest or coverage area. And then I'm gonna add the hole, I'm gonna cut a hole in the floor right here. See, hole in the floor, and I'm gonna select from here, from here, there, and then here. Click, just drawing an area around that hole in the floor, and then right click, and I just drew a hole in the floor, or cut a hole in the floor. So if you go back to 3D, now you can see that indeed this area is missing this part of the floor, the second floor is missing that, and the first floor has the chairs in there, just like we have in here. Questions up to this point? What I'm doing is simulating the environment. Now I'm gonna have to come in and change these walls. Go back to 2D, we're on the third floor, and if we go back to walls, it does the same thing on every floor. Now let's see if this area, these walls in here are selected separate, but Most likely, yes. So that area right there, we can now come and select, no, you are a veranda. Boom. Then when I say auto draw walls, boom, applies. Come on, applying. Come on, Chris, be patient, man. This computer is acting up today. Let me close some of this stuff. Let's see if this guy is working good. Yeah, we're gonna be playing with Wavelify later too. Look at that.
Renee, and can
Yeah.
we copy the table that we have on the first floor and take it
Yes, sir.
into the, okay.
Let's do that right now. Is this still applying? What the heck? Okay. Let's do that right now. Let's go to floor 1. Okay. If I go to the arrow and do the selection of this guy, actually, I can just select that guy. Let me see if it allows me to select this guy as well. Thing is that it will select also Control C. So those are selected, Control C. If I go to floor 2 and then Control V, there they are. Okay. You just copy paste. You just select them. Of course, there's not a table in here. I can just select this guy and delete it. Now I have those tables. If I go then to floor 3 and do Control V again, it will paste them right there. It uses the same XY coordinates as the floors below. Now, if I want to resize this guy, sometimes it's just easier to redo it, but let me just show you if you want to resize something. They put this guy right on the corner, like right there. And then if I click on the lower part of this guy, I can just make that dot and then this dot. Oh, come on. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Come on. And then select it and bring this guy down here. I would have to move those legs down to the other place. Let me move this guy here to the side a little bit and then click on these guys and click in the middle. Remember, don't grab the corners because then it's going to resize it. I just want to grab it from the middle. Oh, selected the whole thing. Come on. Just leave. My computer is acting up, man. Come on, leave it right there. Let's leave it alone. Make sure that only this guy is selected. I'm just going to move this guy and I'm just going to move this guy. And I'm going to put this table top back into position. And like right there. And that just made me a bigger table. Okay. So you can duplicate maps to floor plans. Let me come back to my 2D and make sure, as this applied my walls in here, just go over. See, there's something not working fine. Now let's just change this guy to a veranda. Let's auto draw walls. That should be done now. And I have all 3 floors with the hole in the floor and the verandas in here. Of course, we haven't done the design, actually doing all of the access points and providing coverage. Right now, I'm just showing you how to create the project, how to import maps, how to add walls, doors, windows, attenuation areas. We are about to end this session. Okay, we're going to make this session just the one for creating the building. We learn about the height of the floors, changing the heights of the APs, and making custom walls. We created this short pony wall, this little short window, short wall, also called a veranda. And what we are simulating over here is an environment like this. It's very common in hotels, shopping malls, hospitals. So this is how you design that type of stuff. Let's just do the one where we are going to design the AP above the ceiling, okay? Because unfortunately, in some places, we end up putting the APs above the ceiling. This is how you would simulate that. Let me go to floor 2. Well, let's actually do it on the 3rd floor so we have a better visual of. If I place an access, that's this icon over here. If I place an access point, let's say over here, and I don't recommend placing APs near the hole, but I'm just going to do it on purpose to show this. If that's where the access point is, and let me just tell this guy to just show me the current floor. If this is where the access point is, and let's say I have a ceiling. Now, the access point is not where the circle is. The access point is where the very tip of the arrow is. That's where the access point is. So let's say this access point is actually at 3 meters from the ground. Okay. Yeah, this guy. Come on. Go up, go higher. Let's make this. Let's go to the building. Make it 2D. And let's make that higher floor, the upper floor, let's make it higher. That, let's say that top floor is 3.5 meters high. Okay. The ceiling is 3.5. Let me reconstruct it, modify it. And then for tomorrow, I'll have my thing rebooted. And let's then make sure that we're going to draw, select this access point, and let's put this guy at 3 meters. Okay, it's higher now. Okay. And let's draw a ceiling on this thing, like a drop ceiling all over the place. And I'll show you how you simulate it. Come on, come on, come on. Go back over here. We will go to attenuating objects. We're gonna edit whatever I have there and duplicate it. And let's call this new one drop ceiling. And let's delete the shortcut. Let's say this attenuates, I don't know, let's say 3 dB per meters. And then let's say the top of that ceiling is gonna be at 2.6. And the lower part of that is going to be at 2.5 meters. So we basically are creating an attenuation area that the top is at 2.6 meters from the ground to the top, and then the bottom of it is at 2.5 meters. So from the ground, empty to the bottom of it is 2.5. So we are adding a 10 centimeter thick area. Let's add color. Let's add, I don't know, this purple. Let's make it purple. And it's just 10 centimeters thick. And it's an area, just like an attenuation area. And what I'm going to do then is draw it from here, click, to there, click, to here, click, to this area, click, to this corner, click, to this corner, click, to this corner, click, and move this to the side, to this corner, click, and I end that area with right click. So I just added, if I go to 3D, I added an attenuation area that represents the drop ceiling. The access point is above that area. Of course, I made it purple so that you can visualize where it is. I can change the settings for this guy so that it's more transparent, because now it's like all over the place. So if I go to drop ceiling and go to edit the properties, I can make this transparent in 3D. Let's save this guy. Let's go back to 3D. And there it is. There is an area, and you can just basically get under it. This is to simulate the access points above the ceiling, okay? Notice this. If I have this access point, let's probably make it a different color so it's not too dark, now that you understand the concept. if I have, let me go back to 2D and let's make this some really, really light color. Let's edit that guy again. And instead of that dark purple, let's make it this pink. Let's see if it's any lighter than the other. Now everything looks pink. But what we're doing is simulating that drop ceiling all over the place. When do we use this? Well, when you have the access points above the ceiling. And this is a good way to show customers, to show customers that if you have the access points above the ceiling, then the coverage that you're going to get is probably not ideal. If this access point is over here, and let's say I want to move that attenuation area out of the way, just go to my attenuation area out of the way. It's hard to grab right now. Come on. So I'm just grabbing a wall. I'm just grabbing a. Should be an easier way. Just go back to my 3D. And I can just say, look, if I don't want to see the walls, let me just go back to 2D. If I don't want to see the walls, then where the little I is, I can pick and choose what I want to see or what I don't want to see. If I don't want to see the walls, then now the walls are gone. They're not deleted. I just don't see them right now. Once you create them, then sometimes they get on your way. Because right now, if I want to select this area, see, I can select it easily. Before I was just selecting walls. Let me select this attenuation area and get it out of the way. And then, oh, I guess I didn't select the attenuation area. Let me remove. That would be building edge. There we go. So now if I select this area, that's going to be the attenuation area. See, that's the drop ceiling I drew. So notice that when I got it out, the coverage pattern for the access point is different. Eyes on the screen. I'm going to move this guy back into place. Eyes on the coverage area. Once I drop it, it changes. And then if I move this guy back out, it covers more. This is an easy way to show people that, yeah, if you're going to put the APs above the ceiling, then you're gonna get the same experience. Now that I added this drop ceiling all over the place, let me move this guy to the side. Well, actually, let's leave this guy in here and go to the next floor. Let's go to the next floor, floor 2. And in here, I'm gonna show you how to add an air duct, like an air conditioning duct, putting an attenuation area that is suspended in the ceiling. See, right now, all I have is just the walls and the doors and the access point. Let's then draw an attenuation area, an attenuation object that goes all along the hallway and it's an air duct. So once you are in attenuation objects, to the right, you have all of the ones that either come with Hamina or the ones that you have created. See, we have the drop ceiling, we have the conference table, we have the tabletop. If I go to the buttons and I want to duplicate whatever I have, I'm going to call this air duct. And then let's say that attenuates 5 dB per meter. And then in this case, let's say that guy goes to 2.5. That's the highest on this floor. And let's say it starts at 2 meters. I'm going to exaggerate it to make it like 50 centimeters. Okay. And then we can come and change it. And let's make that guy, let's make it blue. Let's make it this blue. So I have an air duct attenuation area that the top of that area is from the ground 2.5 meters up. And the lower part of that attenuation area is from the ground, empty, up to 2 meters. That's where the bottom of that area is. So now, see, this is the same as the table. Remember yesterday we created the table? We defined the top and the bottom of the area. Then we did the same thing with the ceiling. The ceiling, the drop ceiling is like a table, but it's just all the way up, different attenuation index. And now if I draw this attenuation area, see the air duct, let's say I start here. And then I'm just dragging my mouse, let's say all the way to here and let go. And if I switch to 3D, now I just created an attenuation area that is suspended in the ceiling, and let's remove the transparency so it is more obvious. See, don't make it transparent in 3D. Save it, go back to 3D. Now it's not transparent anymore. That way we can visualize it better. See, now we have that air duct in there that we can appreciate more, but not so much when you're under, because it looks like the ceiling, but it looks better from here from the side. This is how you would simulate air ducts, signs. When you go to the grocery store, that there's that big sign that says, men and women and like lactose, all the dairy stuff. All of this can be used to simulate that in an environment where it's heavily congested with stuff, signs and TVs. Think of a stadium, when you have the TVs in the basketball court that go up and down, then this is how you would design that. Yesterday, we looked at that convention center that we did a few weeks ago in Toronto. All of those obstacles, come on. Man, there's something going on with my computer. Like really slow. Where am I now? There we go. So all of these obstacles up in the ceiling, like here. See those? Those were designed just using the attenuation objects and defining the lower part of that obstacle and the upper part of that obstacle. All of these trusses, those things that go sideways with the lights and the access points and stuff, all of that was simulated. Just go back to that project. Make sure this is the one. I will have my computer fully rebooted by tomorrow. I apologize. Kind of like dragging. So slow. Okay, let's see if I open another one here. Yeah, make it worse. Sometimes this opens faster or not. Yeah, I'm gonna have to reboot. It's Claude here. Maybe it's Lab, maybe it's Hamina. Yeah, time to switch to Windows. Yeah, sure, Windows will be dead long time ago. Let me see. I can hear my CPU going, yeah. Let's close Orb. Let's actually open Orb. Let's look at this guy. Zoom. I wonder if that AI assistant for Zoom is also increasing the activity here. Memory. Yeah, got my Google stuff using a lot. Yeah, Google Chrome render must be something. So much stuff I got open. Let me close all these and that and this and that. Yeah. Well, maybe it's time to finish this session. Oh, man. Okay, computer problems. Let me just refresh this. I'm sure it's just going to come up really quick. If not, to go back to our new project. Here's where we've been working. And with this, I guess we'll stop. We have now covered how to create a building. Today's session. Session 364 has been about struggling with your computer when it's too slow. Here we go. See, now when I threaten, say, I'm going to close this damn thing. And then it's like, okay, I will load it. So here we go. All this convention center stuff was designed using what we have learned so far. Oh, look at that. There are some stairs right there. You already know how to create that. And then all of these obstacles, see, hanging off the ceiling, kind of like that. See that? Is this stuff. Those are the access points. Those are the trusses. How would we create these trusses? See, those beams out there that go sideways, because the access points are hanging from it. Let's see if I can find one in here. See that green stuff right there? That's an access point hanging from a truss. All those green stuff, those are access points hanging from the trusses. Those right there. So that's how you would create a truss. You just create an attenuation area that it's at, I don't know, 10 meters from the ground, the top, and then let's say 9.5 meters the bottom. So that is going to be an obstacle that is suspended in the ceiling. Now you know how to create the columns. We will talk about adding APs and directional APs tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to see, because now in our design, yeah, let's switch project so it freezes again. I loaded. Okay. So now that we know how to create all the walls and doors and windows and attenuation areas and tables and air ducts and holes in the floors and short walls and pony walls, now we have learn about adding all the walls and custom making your own different colors, different names, and same thing with attenuation objects. We learn how to create the ceiling, the table, the legs of the table. We have used now in this area most of the options. The align floors, that's how we create a building. That's how we change the heights of the building. Didn't I change this to 3.5 meters earlier? I don't know, there's something wrong. But then here is where you create the building and align the floor plan so they match. Now, Hamina is not going to only be doing prediction of signals horizontally. It's also going to be doing signal prediction vertically from floor to floor to floor. We're going to work on that tomorrow. How is that signal prediction being done? We learn how to create the holes in the floors to simulate this environment where you have floors. But let me just add all floors. But you have these cuttings so that you can see, like from the top, you can see all the way down to the first floor. And then just go back over here to my 2D option. We also learned yesterday how to create the raised floors and the sloped floors. Let's go to floor 1 and I'll show you where we use those tools for those of you who were not here yesterday. Okay, we learned how to do this. See the stairs right there? We learned how to do the stairs, how to do the raised floor. Those are these 4 options in here. Okay, slope floors, raised floors, floor holes, and align floors. We also today learn about the scope zones, what in ECHA is called a coverage area. Then you add here a scope zone. It's only one option. Then you can add exclusion areas or exclusion zones. We have not worked with capacity. We just barely touch on adding access points. Tomorrow, we're going to be adding access points to this entire building, okay? And we're going to be playing with all that stuff on the next session. So for today, that's all we have. We learn how to create the buildings, how to create a ceiling. If you have to, unfortunately, put the APs above the ceiling, how to create air ducts. See, we went here and created an air duct. It's kind of exaggerated. Now it's even covering the doors. But then we show you how to create that in a project. As you can see, Hamina is very visual, very easy, very smooth, very slick. Once we get to design with Tesos, you're going to see that even though Tesos is my absolute favorite survey tool, when it comes to design, they're kind of lagging behind, okay? But guess what? The best part is in this class, we're going to get to play with all those tools. See, we're going to have Wavelify. We're going to learn how to do all this stuff with Wavelify. That, as you can see, is not much more different than what we've been doing here in 3D, adding floors. We're going to learn all this stuff with a different tool. And I'm going to get you licenses for that as well. And also for Cetos. With Cetos, you can do very cool things. Let me just log in. I'll get you licenses for Cetos as well. And if I do, let me see which one in here. I don't know. Let's just probably use this guy. Same building, same stuff, see, same project, but done with a different tool. I will teach you how to do all of this stuff using all tools for free. How's that sound? Exciting, huh? I'll get you licenses. So, my friends, this is the end of session 364 of Tesos and Wi-Fi. Today, we continued learning about my favorite and the #1 Wi-Fi design tool in the market, Hamina Wireless. Yes, now you can probably see why I like it so much. It's so easy. It's so slick. I know I didn't make it look easy with my computer dragging, but that's not on Hamina, that's on me. I'm gonna have to reboot my computer today and probably go get me a Windows computer. Zaur's recommendation, you know, he says, get a Windows computer. I don't know about that. I don't believe you. But hey.
Hey, Fernie, what is your go-to design tool then?
Hamina.
Okay.
That's the easiest, that's the fastest, that's the coolest. And I mean, we have not even gotten to the cool part of Hamina, the reports, the sharing the project. I think Martin asked if I can share the project. Yeah, I can share the project. In here, see where the share button is? If I click on it and I type the emails of other people with a Hamina account, which you guys have a Hamina account now, I can just place your email in here. You're going to get an email saying, hey, you know, Fernay invited you to this project. And then if you accept it, then you just go in, and then in your list of projects, when you first open your Hamina, there's going to be this new test project in there that is mine, but you will have access to it. And then you can see what I'm seeing. And then, as a matter of fact, we can do that tomorrow. We can add a 4th floor in here. And then I can have some of you guys drawing walls or adding access points or cutting holes or doing whatever. And then we can have multiple people working on the same project at the same time. And it's all feeding. Tom can be like adding all the air ducts. And then I can have Guillermo adding all of the columns. See, because those things are not drawn automatically. And yeah, maybe this is a small building, but when we're dealing with something like the Enercare, that, you know, that convention center, that there were so many things to do, then yeah, extra set of hands doesn't hurt to have them in there helping you with that stuff. So today we learn about all this stuff. Tomorrow we're going to add APs to this building, to this project. We're going to also work on sharing, and we will provide some more licenses to those who show up. But if you don't show up live, you don't get a license. It's that simple. Sounds fair, huh? Tom woke up at 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, put a pot of coffee and said like, okay, let's go to class. Then you get a license to use Hamina, #1 tool in the market. So Glenn, you've been using Ekahau for a while. You've probably been using the online 3D stuff. I know they've been catching up with a lot of these things, but how are you finding Hamina so far? Have you used Hamina at all before?
I used it in the beginning. And one of the things I didn't like, and the same problem I had with the AI Planner Online, was the browser effect. But the fact that you now have that mouse or trackpad option really helps a lot in working with it, because I'm just an application guy, and getting into the browser and having to simply use Control or Command and the mouse wheel to zoom, etc. was just, it's not something that's like a really big problem, but in your day-to-day use, You just have to get used to it. And what I do like more here is basically the view. In AI Planner Online, I feel that you have little space to work on, while even though Hamina, if you open the wall section, has the same space available, it looks clearer. Yeah, it's difficult to explain, but it's just a feeling on how the interface looks. And obviously the white helps in contrast to dark mode. But it's, yeah, the way the walls look, etc. It's just a little bit nicer, I think, on on these plans.
And that's one of the things I love about it, is that it's so slick. And there are some tricks right there. Like when I did the multiple selection that you draw a box around things, it's one thing if you do it left to right.
To right or right to left,
yeah. And you do it right to left, then it selects different things. So they have a lot of cool things hidden in there. We will learn. I am learning as I go. In every class, you learn something new. I learn something new. So, and you guys that, get to play, you have the license, play. You have the floor plans, you have a license, you have full Planner Plus functionality, go ahead. And also, if you have other projects you're working on in other tools like Ekahau or any other Cedos or anything, go ahead, bring in those floor plans in here, see what the automatic wall detection does for you. That has impressed me so many times. You just bring, how many walls have we drawn on this project? Like close to none, just the pony wall. That's it. Because everything else, you just automatically picked it up and drew it. All the doors and windows and the transparency and how slick and how nice it is and how visual. Man, you explain this to customers, you don't have to explain anything. You just show them the 3D. And as a matter of fact, I can send this to a customer and they can do the same thing I'm doing, navigating, going through the halls, the doors, the rooms, the tables, looking at all this stuff, because I can share this as a report, and then the customer can see like what I'm doing. This is really slick. It helps tremendously when you are presenting a project to a customer, because now you don't have to explain or send a PDF with 300 pages that they can just look at numbers. Here's visual. We place the access point here, this is what you're going to get. And then you can just start explaining to people how things should be and what happens if you place access point. Let me just move am I getting the access point? Come on. If you move the access points, and then you can show the coverage patterns and the areas, and also you can explain about the antennas. One of the cool things that, and these guys were like the first ones that came up with this stuff, is when you're adding access points, then you can show the radiation patterns and rotate them. So like, this, if you mount it on the wall, this is what it's going to do. And if you mount it on the ceiling, or if you put it upside down, and then if you have directional antennas, let's say we choose Ubiquiti, the 635, not the 635, the E7 campus, then you can just show, see, that's a directional antenna right there. Then you can just show the directionality of those guys and what the pattern it is that it has. Tomorrow, we're gonna once that we start adding access points, we're gonna learn how to add directional antennas, and then later there's gonna be another session on just warehouses. We're gonna learn how to do warehouses and create racks and use these directional antennas to light up a hallway. And then also we will do the stadium, that hockey arena that I shared with you. Oh, I haven't. If I haven't shared that with you, I will. I will share that, and then we will design here in Hamina a stadium. So you're going to be learning everything about using the tool to design these different environments. All right, my friends, thank you very, very much for your time. I know you have no obligation to be here, neither do I, but we're all coming here just sharing and learning from each other. And this is the end of session 364. Remember, free love to everybody and free Wi-Fi training to everyone. Have a good day. I will send you the link for tomorrow's session, where we're going to be adding access points to this building and learning how to use the other design portions of the tool. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you,
Thanks, Renee.
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 Hi,
Bye.
thank you.
Thank you for now.
Thank
Have a good one.
you. You are very
Thank you.
welcome.
Have a
Thank you
nice
for
day.
coming.
Yeah.
Bye,
I'll
bye.
see you tomorrow.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Take care.